What's up, everybody? This is Flap. I'm playing Cutting Edge, Roots of Mutation. I will be commentating it while speedrunning it. Before we get into it, gotta set some keybinds for convenience, and make sure we're on the highest difficulty. Okay, so it begins. If you are familiar with games like Trauma Center, that's more or less what this is. If you're unfamiliar, this is a visual novel, one part visual novel and one part surgery sim. And I think surgery sim is kind of a very loose term. I don't imagine doctors are doing operations in a matter of minutes, but we've got the power of God and anime on our side, or something like that. Either way, it's going to be the cycle of this run is going to be a lot of text like what you just said, and then we'll go into an operation. Here we are in the prologue, taking care of this poor car crash victim. As you can see, they've got glass in them. I gotta take care of that. Oops. So since this is the prologue, misses like that are totally fine. Because all we care about is just getting this done. Misses like that will become important in the rest of the run. This is the only time it doesn't matter. But obviously, for the sake of speed, I don't want to have to redo things. So, getting them done in one is ideal. Okay, now here we are wrapping up the prologue. As you can see, our cybernetic eye is giving us these guidelines that we need to cut, and unfortunately, we're kind of not in the right headspace right now. This leads to an unfortunate side effect of we lost our medical license. A funny little lizard you've been seeing pop up, their name is Perry, and they just lost their license. But here we are a year later. It has been reinstated as the board that takes care of that kind of stuff ruled the fault of the eye that told him to keep cutting. But that does have happened, that patient did live. So here we are in a different hospital a year later. Spark there, Perry's friend brought him here to try and cheer them up. Kinda didn't work because we're only supposed to be here to observe, but as this doctor here, Dr. Larson, is having a malfunction with his arms, we now have to stand in for, surprise, surprise, another car crash victim. But this is where we're into the meat of everything. So this is the first operation. Points matter. I can't miss anything, more or less. And everything has to be pretty tight, pretty perfect. Because the side effect of this being very early into the game, there's not a lot you can do. So there's not a lot of room for error. So I'm going to give commentary a bit of a backseat while I focus on these sutures. So as you can see, I'm getting cools on the majority of these, and every time I get 50, that's ideal. That is the maximum you can get on sutures. Aside from, well, there goes that. That's alright. Restarting operations is very quick. But I will take this opportunity to talk less. Okay, we should be pretty good. Yeah, glass has to be pulled out perpendicular to the direction of the cut. I think I just kind of pulled it out at a weird angle. And this is the only suture you can actually get 100 tech score on. The final one to seal the patient back up. But, as you can see right there, we got excess. Mission accomplished. First try. Nice, so since our speedrun loop here is a bunch of text skipping and then operating, I will just take this opportunity to more or less explain what is going on in the coming operation. So coming up, we have to fix somebody's cybernetic implant in their liver, I believe. So we'll be introduced to a bunch of different mechanics. There will be a screwdriver, there will be a blowtorch, and there'll be some solder. We just need to take everything out and then put it all back, more or less. Take out the bad parts, put them in, and then put the patient back together. So here we are going to go in, drain some blood, fix these up, and hey, now we have a screwdriver. Screws are a bit of my Achilles heel. I can't put them in very well. Here's the blowtorch I was talking about. And the bad parts that we need to remove are these fuses. And here comes the hard part, putting these back in. There we go. We are golden. One of the operations I know the threshold that I need to be on before stitching the patient back up. There we go. There is access number 2. And 1-2 completed. Right, so yeah. From the first operation, Perry gained some confidence, and they have slowly been getting back into stuff. But they were out a year, and cybernetics exploded in that year, so they're basically catching up with these 2 operations. They're learning all about them, and how to deal with them. Let's see... Okay, that's not the one that I wanted, but it's alright. That is a useful little augment that you have. Right, so here we learn about a special screw that we can put into patients called nails. They just boost vitals, or if there's a cybernetic like this, it will repair it. Give me that. I'm going to put this here for safety, because one of the conditions for this operation, up here in the top left, there are directives. And one of them is keeping the patient's vitals above a certain amount, which is very difficult towards the later half of this operation because they kind of start exploding with cuts and blood. Alright, so remove that. Patient explodes a little bit. Get used to it, they're going to do that a lot in this operation. To keep the blood drained and off of the actual cybernetic part. Okay, now here comes the hard part. And diagnose chip. Oh, the flash. We gotta keep everything drained, and also deal with these funny little puzzles. Huh? Okay. Alright. Yeah, so a lot of these spots are predetermined, that's why I'm holding the drain on nothing, draining nothing. Alright, that should be the last one. Should be a couple more spots. And I have to put more screws in. Alright, that should be fine. Alright. So we had a bit of a hiccup in that operation. The way we were supposed to do it ended up being too slow, so Spark just kind of brute forced his way through it, and we covered for him. Alright, so those are more or less the introductions to cybernetics. Here we have a pretty fun level, where the patient is going to explode on us a lot. But first we have dialogue. Yeah, this operation will introduce tumors, which there is a process for them. We have to burn it, cut it out, and then close the wound, and then suture it back up. So we're going to be doing that a lot. See, I'm kind of... These early ones, at least, kind of drilled that home. Making Perry a little bit confident there. The choices don't really matter. It's just a matter of how many text boxes there are. Okay, so we're gonna go in and go find our tumor to remove it. So burn it, cut it out, close it up, stitch it back up. And then hope you don't get really weird angles on the wound closing. And since we'll talk about what the patient's going to explode on us a lot. Okay. Yeah, so there's a little quirk here. You just saw it. If there is blood on anything, you can't do anything until you get rid of it. Oh, right, you just scan one more time. That open, and zero this guy. Oh. Alright. So, they thought they figured out everything, but Perry, who has more than cybernetics, they've got an actual brain, they can think for themselves, and they picked up on something that the doctor missed. Okay. So, also, this is a forced fail state. You can get very close to removing all of those tumors, but Dr. Larson will take over at some point. I only did that just to make sure I had enough points to clear the excess, which I should be perfectly fine. Right, and that is 1-4. Now we're going on to 1-5, which is less of an operation, just more of a puzzle. So we got some downtime, and if you recall, in the first operation, Dr. Larson had an issue with his arms not working. Well, that issue is persisting and getting worse. It's getting more frequent. So, he has taken it upon himself to have Perry take a look with the help of Spark. Spark's here because he deals with cybernetics. So this is going to be doing a bunch of different things. We're troubleshooting. We're troubleshooting Dr. Larson's arm. First, we gotta open it up and get inside and take a look. So first things first, we're gonna make this really hot. Oh, actually, wait, I'm gonna do this. Take care of that. Put that on. Make this, and then we gotta make this 100, or 1.0. There we go. And pull some of this out, put it on this tray, and put the rest of it here. This level is also a bit of an auto-scroller, as we are just waiting for we're waiting for story triggers to happen. So right there, Perry's eye shuts down. This is the eye crashed. But this comes with the useful side effect of cluing us in onto what the problem is. There's a weird thing right here. So we take the screwdriver, knock it out, and put in the screw. Put them back together. And, like every patient, stitch him back up. Right, and that's that. That is 1-5 done. And there's our excess. And that is it for the demo, but, like I mentioned earlier, there is one bonus level, a challenge level. You have 3 minutes to complete a final tough challenge. Also, we get to see a wonderful little kobold named Widget. That is all. Widget's here. He's gonna tell us that corporate time is burning. Also, you are seeing that this correctly? That is a giraffe. They've got some very long beds here. Alright, so I boost the vitals to around 70, and that should be enough of a buffer to get through this operation without having to do anything more. That is unfortunate. I will have to redo that. The blood just spawned on top of my forceps and caused me to miss. That is just an unfortunate thing that can't really do anything about. I guess close the wound faster. Okay, so that should be good. Alright, and that is the operation. As you can see, just a bunch of different things that you have to handle. It can get very overwhelming, especially on that phase transition. But we made it through.